by ordinance does not qualify as rule of law.
If politicians would like favorable treatment under the law, they might have to seek recourse to Parliament to change that law. And I can assure you that the Superior Judiciary of Pakistan would strike down such a law.
जैसे काजी साहब ने किया एक दो फैसले, तो अगर हम भी इसी किस्म के फैसले करेंगे तो हमको तो निकाल दिया जाएगा, कल दूसरे तैयार बैठे वही आ जाएंगे.
Every fourth senator in the opposition defected. How do you guys know I was not the fourth?
The system of selecting judges is flawed. The present system has turned the judiciary into a private club.
Till such time that we have regained control over the decision making, till then everything, Parliament, the courts, are a mere facade.
Whatever happened in that Senate hall happens in all halls, happens everywhere.
The eminent panel that we have for a conversation on upholding the rule of law. The first person that I would like to invite, he's already on the stage, is Mr. Rehman. He needs no introduction. He's a giant of the human rights movement in Pakistan, a mentor and an inspiration to me, to many, many people in Pakistan and beyond. Next, I would want to invite Mr. Salman Akram Raja. He's one of Pakistan's finest lawyers, a constitutional law expert, and has a long history of demonstrating his commitment to upholding and fighting for the rule of law. Thirdly, I would like to invite Ms. Maleeka Bokhari, who is a member of the National Assembly, Parliamentary Secretary for Law and Justice, a member of the PTI, and a barrister by training. If we can have Ms. Maleeka Bokhari come and join us. I think she'll join us momentarily. I have been told she's on her way, so she'll join us when she comes in. We have with us Senator Musadiq Malik, a former federal minister, a senior member of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, and one of the most articulate parliamentarians that we have. And lastly but not least, we have Mr. Zahoor Shahwani, who's a senior lawyer for Baluchistan, a former president of the Baluchistan High Court Bar, a council member for the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, and a notable human rights activist. Mr. Shahwani. So, I think a lot of what the context has been laid out by His Lordship's remarks. Now we hope to have a more concrete, more specific conversation on that, on the rule of law, and on both elements of the rule of law, which one being a procedural element where laws are to be applied without discrimination, fairly, and substantively, that those laws which are being applied have to be fair in themselves. And with that, I think I'll begin the conversation with a question to Mr. Rehman, building upon Justice Faizisa's remarks. First is, of course, where do you think we are in terms of upholding the rule of law? And in a historical analysis, where did we go wrong?
There is a large paraphernalia related to rule of law in Pakistan. There are courts, there are judges, there are magistrates, there are prosecution agencies, there are lawyers, there are jails, and so on and so forth. There is FC in Baluchistan, and there are rangers in Karachi. But there is much in Pakistan that does not qualify as rule of law. What is rule of law? From a layman's point of view, I will define it. The rule of just laws which treat all citizens equally. These conditions are not met in Pakistan in a number of situations. For instance, my first condition for rule of law is that laws should be made by competent authority in a prescribed manner. We have many unjust laws in Pakistan, beginning with the Section 109. If a policeman goes to Data Darbar and finds a man sleeping there and he has no home to go to and no means of living, he will be sent to jail. This is one of the most unjust legal provisions in Pakistan. Then, in my humble opinion, all laws that prescribe preventive detention for more than 14 days are unjust laws. Anti-terrorism law is unjust. Other laws are unjust. So I was saying that law should be made by a competent authority in a prescribed manner. There are many laws on our statute book which were passed by military dictators. Because whenever martial law has been imposed, the first declaration has been that ordinances or laws made by the military regime are not subject to the law of lefts. Laws made by Parliament can be revoked and ignored, but not the laws made by... You just look at your statute book, how many ordinances issued by Ayyub regime are still there. I don't consider them proper laws. And how many ordinances are being issued now? So, rule by ordinance does not qualify as rule of law. The rule of law demands, as in the Constitution itself, equality before law and equal protection of law. This condition is not met in many cases. Women, members of minority communities, and the poor are not equal before law, and they certainly do not have equal protection of law. We have just conducted a survey in which we have found that in Pakistan only the poor are hanged. You see, the rich ones escape. They have better opportunities. So, finally, rule of law means everybody has access to law. In Pakistan, this is a big problem. Everybody does not have equal access to law. The poor certainly do not have. The rural people don't have. And there are marginalized communities that do not have. I can say that no accused of blasphemy can have a fair trial in Pakistan, especially if he belongs to a minority community. So, and also, if I may suggest, the system of selecting judges is flawed. The present system has turned the judiciary into a private club, and that is contrary to the principles of rule of law. So many obstacles and so many constraints are there that it will take us a long time to overcome these deficiencies and say that everybody is equal before law, have equal access to law, equal protection of law, and that laws are made by Parliament and not are made by persons individually, whether they are civilians or the military rulers. Thank you very much.
I think building upon what Rehman Sahab has said, my question then to Mr. Salman Akram Raja would be that in a society where there seems to be widespread acceptance of derogation from rule of law, where there is now it seems that people, we see calls for summary executions and people ends justifying means. How does one successfully advocate or persuasively argue for a case for upholding the rule of law in a society, as I said, where there is now, it seems, a great appetite for mob justice, for want of a better word.
Let me, in answering your question, Saroop, build on what Rehman Saab has said, and earlier Justice Isa drew our attention to. This is our history of the constitutional values of constitutionalism being trampled over by forces that find these values to be an obstruction in the path of whatever they think is the quote-unquote national interest. And that brings us directly to addressing the question of what is our national interest. And let me suggest to you that at the heart of our polity, of our state, lies a kind of neurosis that we will somehow fall apart, we will cease to exist. And in order to ensure our survival, our existence, what is needed is force and not constitutional values. So constitutional values become a kind of a luxury. The laws that Rehman Saab is talking about, just laws, become a concession, as if it were. So while we have a lot of legalism, every martial law regime issues a whole trunk full of regulations and laws and so on, we do not have laws always that can be called just laws, laws that uphold basic liberties of association, of speech, of parliamentary democracy. So why is it that we fight these battles again and again? We go to court, we've been on the streets, the lawyers' movement, go earlier in time, right from the very beginning, there have been any number of movements and quests, the agitation against Ayub Khan, but nothing in the end has really stuck. Over these 72 years, can we really say that we have expanded the space available for constitutional values, for speech, for liberty, for association? Let me just start with the very basic values that a just and a free polity and citizens in a just and free polity must enjoy. And we would have to agree that we have not. These freedoms remain luxuries that can be trampled over with great ease. And when that happens, the best amongst us, lawyers and judges, line up on the side of the oppressors. I can take you back through time. People like Justice Isa are always the exception. People who are willing to stand up and be counted and point out and call out the depredations that happen in the name of national interest, in the quest for national security and integrity, so-called, are very, very few. Justice Isa reminded us of the constitution that Ayub Khan drafted and the events that led to that constitution. We will all recall that constitution did not have a fundamental rights chapter. Even though the 1956 constitution had a fundamental rights chapter, the objectives resolution had pointed to certain inalienable rights. And even earlier, prior to that, the entire discussion, the debate from the Pakistan resolution of 1940 to 1947 and beyond was about rights. And suddenly we find in 1962, a constitution is quote-unquote enacted that has no fundamental rights in it. And not only does it not have fundamental rights, its apologists, and among them, the much revered Manzoor Qadir Saab, goes to town, actually starts writing articles, which you can still read in the PLD journal section, 1960, 61, 62. Go and open up. As lawyers, we have access to these journals. He writes articles saying that in Islam, there are no rights for the individual. Islam only imposes obligations and grants no rights. Therefore, an Islamic polity, an Islamic constitution based, quote unquote, on the objectives resolution cannot grant rights to people. So we find that religion and the facade of constitutionalism have been used again and again in our history to deny the very values of constitutionalism, to say to us, the people, that you have no rights, you only have concessions given to you by the state. These concessions you may enjoy for as long as the state allows you to enjoy those concessions. There is nothing inalienable about any of these concessions, and do not think that these are rights. So we've grown up over the last 30 years that I've been involved with the legal profession in Pakistan, I remember to this day with fondness the 1988 judgment, Benazir Bhutto versus the President, which was the first judgment when the Supreme Court of Pakistan had snubbed the ambition of a dictator still in power by saying that the compulsory political party registration rules that he had enacted could not be implemented to deny people their Article 17 fundamental right, which is the right to associate, including the right to form a political party. That in the garb of registering political parties, you could not oust the People's Party and Benazir Bhutto. This was a judgment that the Supreme Court rendered, and I rate it to this day as the finest moment of our Supreme Court. Thereafter, we've had many memorable judgments. The judge's case, we thought in 1996, would liberate the judiciary. We would now have independent-minded judges, independent in mind and in spirit. But has that happened? We again believed and dreamt in 2007 that the lawyers' movement would create a judiciary that would be independent, not just in name, not just on paper, but in spirit and in courage. But have we actually seen that judiciary since then? Judicial populism, I would submit, is a diversion. What we saw during 2 bouts of populism were not really an independent judiciary acting to further the cause of freedoms, the cause of fundamental rights. At the end of the day, it was noise, it was bluster that led to diversions, and the real forces that rule the state, that command the state, were so easily able to reassert themselves and call out people like Justice Issa, who they see as obstacles to what they wish to achieve. So we see that throughout this period, the Asghar Khan case is before us, and an interesting case, I would submit. I was counsel for Air Marshal Asghar Khan. He went to court in 1996, alleging that the 1990 elections had been interfered with by the forces that can carry out such interference. And after 16 long years in 2012, we got a judgment which said that yes, indeed, the then DGISI and the then Chief of the Army Staff had acted beyond their oaths of office, and we were reminded by Justice Issa of the oaths of office that the Qaid had reminded members of the armed forces of in Quetta in 1948, that they had indeed violated their oaths of office and they had indulged in the subversion of the constitutional process. This is 2012, October 2012. And now, as I stand, this is October 2019. Not one finger has moved since then to bring anybody to account. To ask why this happened, that question has been answered, that this happened. Why it happened and how people should be punished, the Supreme Court ordered in 2012 that action, immediate action, be taken against these 2 individuals, even after their retirement, and they be made to face a court of law, a court-martial or other proceedings. And nothing has happened since then. So that tells you what, at the end of the day, the Supreme Court of Pakistan means in this country. It tells you, when you look at what has happened over the last couple of years, that the so-called successes in the courtroom do not translate into real successes out there in the political process, in the parliamentary system. The political process and the parliamentary system remain as subjugated as they ever were. So I speak with a great deal of sorrow and a fair amount of pessimism. Not that I will give up, we will keep on fighting. This is something one learned from Asma. Over the nearly 2 decades that I was lucky and fortunate enough to be engaged with Asma in various cases, I started the first case that I did with Asma. She very kindly asked me to join her team, was the case regarding a woman's right to marry, to conduct a nikah without the consent of a male guardian. This is Saima Waheed's case in 1995, and then onwards, beyond that. The 21st amendment case, whether the Supreme Court has the power to strike down a constitutional amendment and whether military courts are consistent with the spirit of our constitution, the salient features of our constitution, is another case in which I was deeply involved with Asma. I had in fact challenged the earlier 18th amendment petitions which had sought to have the 18th amendment struck down. I had gone on behalf of I.A. Rehman Saab, Minto Saab and Vizinjo Saab to say that the Supreme Court should not strike down that amendment. So we were involved in so many battles over the 2 decades nearly that I worked with Asma and engaged with her over a number of issues. And her spirit was to not give up. It was not that she realized that she was making fundamental changes to the structure of our polity. That will require, I think, a different kind of revolution, beyond the courtrooms, beyond what we argue on our feet. It will be other people on their feet which will have to retrieve and regain control over the state from a neurosis that has encapsulated it the last 7 decades or more. So your question, if I may now answer, is that we will not have just laws. We will not have the space that we crave for fundamental rights and basic liberties till such time that we have regained control over the decision-making, the real decision-making in the state. Till then, everything, Parliament, the courts, are a mere facade. And the will of the actual power will go on reasserting itself. We will find that Pemra will issue directions saying who can be heard, who cannot be heard on the airwaves of Pakistan. We will find that senators will overnight shift loyalties and vote a certain way. These are all symptoms of an underlying neurosis, of an underlying flaw. And until that is countered, we make no progress. Thank you.
Maleeka is the only government representative here and represents both the government in her capacity as the Secretary for Law in Parliament, Parliamentary Secretary for Law, and as a member of the National Assembly. And the PTI has rule of law, or upholding the rule of law, has been a central pillar of the PTI's campaign over the years. However, post coming to government in the past 18 months, some would say that we've seen a tendency or an admiration from the highest levels for summary methods of achieving justice, or at least in great admiration of seeing due process as a hurdle rather than an indispensable value. So if you could comment on that, and perhaps also on what the government has done in the past 18 months in ensuring or enabling the upholding of rule of law.
It is obviously my great privilege and honor to be speaking here today as a lawyer, as a barrister, and also as a member of parliament representing the government and as Parliamentary Secretary for Law and Justice. Your question is quite pertinent because it's a discussion that we hear in the media. It is a discussion that we hear from members of the opposition, and I was also anticipating to be asked this question. Well, it depends on where this really is coming from. I mean, from the PTI point of view, as a government, obviously we believe fundamentally in the rule of law, and we have, since we came to power, done a lot of work that promotes this objective. We are a party that was built on the notion of justice and accountability. Our entire manifesto revolves around ensuring that the common man in Pakistan, the ordinary person, not just a group of few elitist people in this country, but the common man has recourse to justice, and that justice is provided to everybody, irrespective of their social class, their religious beliefs, whether they are a judge, a member of parliament, an ordinary citizen. It doesn't matter what position you hold, you should have recourse to justice. And that is the fundamental principle of the PTI government. And when we came into power, we enacted something called the 100-day agenda. A very formative part of the 100-day agenda was our quest to ensure that we have laws, we enact laws that are clear, are accessible, are promulgated publicly, and are intelligible. I can talk to you about the kind of laws we have tabled in Parliament. All the laws that we have tabled in Parliament since we came into power are pro-people. They are seeking to protect the fundamental rights of the ordinary Pakistani. One of the most important pieces of legislation that are very close to my heart and that I played a critical role in drafting is the Enforcement of Women's Property Rights Act. We all know that inheritance rights, access to inheritance rights, especially for women, is a key issue that the Prime Minister feels very strongly about, and I do also as a member of Parliament and as a female legislator. And the Enforcement of Property Rights Bill seeks to ensure that all the women across our country actually have recourse to possession of their property after the case is resolved, either through the court system or now, as we are proposing, through a summary procedure by an ombudsperson that are already in place in our country. We are also have tabled a bill called the Legal Aid and Justice Bill. The Legal Aid and Justice Bill is seeking to consolidate all the legal aid rules in our country, because at the moment we feel that legal aid is not being sufficiently provided to the most vulnerable people in Pakistan. And this Legal Aid and Justice Bill is seeking to establish a central authority which will be headed by the Minister for Human Rights. It will have its own fund. And there's a special clause in this piece of legislation that gives differential or preferential treatment to women and children who are victims of sexual abuse. We're also seeking to set up pro bono units across the country as a part of this Legal Aid and Justice Bill. And of course, inheritance rights as a whole issue. We know that cases for inheritance rights can languish in courts for years and precedes generations. So we have tabled a bill in Parliament which is seeking to fast-track the process for getting your inheritance rights. If there is no legal dispute, in short, I'll explain it to you. If there is no legal dispute between the heirs in a family, then you can go to Nadra for resolving this dispute, and it can take up to 14 to 21 days to resolve this matter, because Nadra has a copy of everyone's family registration certificate, and the matter may be resolved in a more efficient manner rather than going to a court. And if, of course, there's a dispute between the heirs, then the normal course of law will take effect. In addition to that, we have also tabled a bill which seeks to remove this archaic provision which regulates the dressing of judges of the superior courts. And we hope that that bill will also be passed in Parliament. So it's quite a full law reform agenda. We're also looking at enacting legislation which seeks to establish gender-based violence courts in Pakistan, because we fundamentally believe that our model of imparting justice to the common man in Pakistan cannot be fulfilled unless the women of Pakistan have recourse to justice. At the moment, I don't think they do. I don't think the criminal justice system treats them in the same manner as their male counterparts, and we need to have a specific provision within the law which provides them that guarantee of having justice, specifically the criminal justice system. The conviction rates for gender-based violence crimes are very, very low, specifically for rape. And to this date, 1,000 women every year get murdered under the false pretext of honor. So there's something fundamentally wrong within our system, and that needs to be corrected, and the PTI government is taking action to ensure that takes place. On the point of this whole discussion on this desire to see summary justice, I don't know how well placed it is. Obviously, it's coming from members of the opposition, but I think we're talking about accountability of politicians here. And as the Constitution clearly guarantees, everyone is equal before the law under Article 25. So politicians, along with the common man, if accused of any offense, specifically an offense of corruption, are subject to the law. The law is the NAB law. The NAB law was enacted, not in the PTI government's time, but in the term of the previous governments, which include PMLN and PPP. And that NAB law has undergone judicial scrutiny in a case as well. And as it stands today, any act of accountability being undertaken by the National Accountability Bureau of Pakistan, which is an independent statutory body, is being done through the NAB ordinance. Now, if politicians would like favorable treatment under the law, they might have to seek recourse to Parliament to change that law. And I can assure you that the Superior Judiciary of Pakistan would strike down such a law. So clearly, as a PTI representative, I do not agree with the assertion that accountability in Pakistan is selective. I believe accountability is taking place according to the law. It is the right moment for accountability to take place, because we came in with the mandate to undertake accountability of everybody, particularly politicians who've looted and plundered the wealth of this country, and it is being done in a manner that is in accordance with the law. I don't see anybody in PTI propagating a summary procedure of justice. I think we applaud the efforts of the Accountability Bureau that is taking action against corrupt politicians who have plundered the wealth of this country allegedly, and everything that takes place is subject to judicial scrutiny as well. So clearly it's a topic that obviously all of us will not agree upon, and I've clearly stated my views on it, and the PTI government is, as I told earlier, doing everything it can to ensure that there is rule of law within Pakistan. We are working with all the institutions, regulatory bodies, with the judiciary, with the duty bearers to ensure that the law also gets implemented properly, that everybody in Pakistan, specifically the most vulnerable, the women, the children, religious minorities, they all have recourse to the law equally. I think that would be about it from my perspective, unless you have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Maleeka. And I think building upon her remarks and perhaps to get a response, I would want to ask Senator Musadiq Malik on both things that have been said. One is the question of the claims of the opposition of selective accountability, but also equally importantly something that Maleeka said about successive governments failing to or not wanting to change the accountability framework or the criminal justice framework, which they now find discriminatory. So if you could speak on that.
Well, I was not going to respond to Maleeka's speech. I think it would be inappropriate at this forum. But I personally think that everyone sitting here knows the story. Nawaz Sharif jail, Shahbaz Sharif bail. Maryam Nawaz jail, Hamza Shahbaz jail, Rana Sanaullah jail. वो हमारे वो जो जिन पे केस किया एफिड्रिन का वो बेल हर 10 के बाद एक बेल बाकी सब जेल. And at the simultaneously you have a 22 billion rupee case of EOBI. You have a 44 billion rupee case of NICL. You have the BRT case. You have the minerals case. You have that general that was appointed by the Prime Minister, his friend, who said कि कड़ियाँ जो हैं वो हथकड़ी की शक्ल में 6 वज़ीरों तक पहुँचती. So I leave all of that judgment to the audience to decide whether it is really accountability or it's some level of selectivity going on. The second one is actually a very critical question. And honest to God, I would think I would be amiss to tell you that I know the answer. But I think I have a sense of the answer now. Why is it that the story that our Honorable Supreme Court Justice has just stated, the entire history of Pakistan, why is that history that way? That is the question that you're asking me. In that history, we've been in, we've been out, People's Party's been in, People's Party's been out. The fundamental question is, why is it that people have been in and people have been out and nothing has been sorted out? And my personal view is that it's not that Pakistan has a fundamental problem. I believe Pakistan has a problem of the fundamentals. If you were in the United States, and you went to a trailer park where the uneducated people live, and you said something against the freedoms, you'd get your teeth knocked out. If you were on NPR, National Public Radio, and you brought up Guantanamo Bay, they would go red in their face and come up with all kind of hocus-pocus explanations about how it is on the Cuban soil and it's not the United States. But one thing that they would never say is screw freedoms. because they uphold those freedoms as an organizing principle. And the entire society is built around that organizing principle of freedoms and polarity, freedoms and marketplace. Whether you look at their healthcare system or their education system or their judicial system, you find freedoms and you find the marketplace, the polarity. Everything is polarized. That's why, as the richest country of the world, they don't afford healthcare to people, because it's polarized. Market is a value that they uphold, just like freedoms. If you went to Sweden or Denmark or the Nordic region, I moved from one company to another, and I tried to hire one of my old employees once my non-compete was over. And as a courtesy, I hired a headhunter. And I sent him, and this guy flew in from Sweden. His name was Johan Ingemansen. And I said, Johan, I would give you 30% more money. I'm building up a new practice, work with me for 3 years. And I told him 30% more was a lot of money. He was making $140,000. And then I said, you know, this would be tax-free money. Tax-free money. Because in Sweden, you get taxed after 150,000, about 50 or 56%, or I don't know what that odd number is. And it took me half an hour to understand that Johan does not understand why he should not pay taxes. Because it's a value, it's an organizing principle, some sensible social equity, some sensible social justice, around which the entire society is built. Their educational system, their healthcare system, everything is based upon that social equity principle, just like everything in the United States is built around freedoms and polarity marketplace. And I can give you many examples. I've worked with Frenchmen who believe in fraternity and the role of the relation of state and its people, a relationship that doesn't exist anywhere outside of France. And some things don't exist outside of Paris. But if I turned around and asked this room, what is that one fundamental organizing principle around which our society is built? We'd sit here for 3 days and we would not be able to come up with it. That is the problem. All night you would sit here. All night I would probe you. All night I would ask you, what is that one value for which you're willing to take a fall? And you would not be able to tell me, not that an individual has not taken a fall, but as a society, we would not take fall either for freedoms or for polarity or for social equity, nor for social justice, nor for fraternity. What in the hell would we take the fall for? What are we organized around? And then, after 3.5 days, you would figure out that the entire society is built around the value of opportunism, opportunity. And opportunism is such a dark value that it has to eat all other values, whether they are imbibed in the Constitution or the law or basically home values. It has to eat up all of those values. It's the darkest value of all. It's the black hole of values. It eats up all other values for it to prevail. Opportunism. That is why we have no qualms throwing our Constitution into the garbage bin against an opportunity. That is why we have political vendettas all along 70 years, including our times and your times and their times and her times, where we've used laws against the opposition. Opportunism. Everything is an opportunity. Law is an opportunity. Constitution is an opportunity. Power is an opportunity. Hold over administration is an opportunity. Access to the elites is an opportunity. And we use every little bit of it to eat up everything else. Now, if we are eating up everything else, which includes all constitutions, all laws, all rules, how is there going to be the rule of law, my friends? And therein lies nearly all the answers. And I was pondering as you were reading the entire history chronologically, and I realized that more things change, less they change, more they stay the same. What has changed? Near about nothing. We are giving the same arguments, we are giving the same kind of explanations for why in my time is better than your time, and your time is better than my time. And my friend Salman just said, we have, what did he say? observance of the rule of law, something like that. And I was just at a conference 2 days ago where we found out that 25% of the women in Pakistan are beaten by their husbands. And 47% of the women in Pakistan say it is perfectly all right for a husband to beat his wife. Where in the Constitution is it written? What equality? What equity? What justice? In our own households, this is not a political data. This is, I'm giving you benign statistic. I can give you the maternal mortality rates. I can give you the infant mortality rates. I can give you the literacy rates. I can give you the dropout rates. I can give you any number of statistics that you want. And they tell you the same story. Women don't have access to justice. They don't have access to equality. Minorities don't have access to justice. Minorities don't have any equality. I mean, just few miles from Lahore, a whole town of Christians was burnt. I ask you, what has happened to that? Where are the culprits? They were arrested. What happened? Why is the justice not administered to them? Apparently, a husband and wife were burnt, put into the bhatta and burnt to ashes. Where are the culprits? Some are on bail, some have left the country. What access? What justice? What rule of law? So unless, my friends, from my perspective, we reorganize ourselves at some point in time, we wake up, we smell the coffee, and we walk across the party lines, and we say, no more. Unless few senior people who are not seen as political actors and hence polarized and hence biased speak up about their own times, like Justice Naseem Hassan Shah, more history has to be written. And if history were not written, someone else would walk with all and rewrite whatever is happening in our times. So unless we are willing to do that, I don't know how it would change. I come back to your question, why is it that nothing happens? I didn't understand. While the keynote speech was being made, I didn't understand. I continued to ponder, but why? But why did you justify all of this? I mean, they were noblemen then. What happened? Why were all of these interventions justified and sanitized and sanctized, or whatever the words are? And then I asked myself the same question. What happened during the elections of the chairman of Senate? Every fourth senator in the opposition defected. How do you guys know I was not the fourth? How do you know? So why should I walk into that house now? What sanctity does that house have? I have no answers. But whatever happened in that Senate hall happens in all halls, happens everywhere. And therefore, nothing changes. And more things change, more they stay the same. Thank you.
Last final speaker, Shahwani Saab. Shahwani Saab, आप वुकला के लीडर भी हैं. एक वक्त ऐसा भी आया, विक्टिमाइजेशन पे 2008 से 2013 तक हमने देखा कि कोई सियासी कैदी नहीं था. 2009 में जब लॉयर्स मूवमेंट थी तो शायद एक फीलिंग थी कि शायद अब एक वी हैव टर्न्ड अ पेज और कानून की हकमियत और आइन की बालादस्ती जो है अब पाकिस्तान में शायद आसान हो जाएगी, या उसकी जंग जो है वो शुरू हो गई अगर इख्तिताम पर नहीं पहुंची. लेकिन वो बहुत जल्दी हमने देखा कि वो दैट ड्रीम वाज शैटर्ड for reasons that you would have better insight into. लेकिन आपको क्या लगता है कि जो वुकला की जो लॉयर्स मूवमेंट थी और उसके बाद जो वुकला की लीडरशिप, या वुकला का जो रोल रहा या रहना चाहिए अपहोल्डिंग द रूल ऑफ लॉ में, क्या वुकला वो रोल अदा कर सके, या क्या बेहतरी से वो रोल अदा कर सकते हैं, और क्या वजह थी कि वो जो लॉयर्स मूवमेंट के वक्त लगता था कि शायद कुछ लोग, बहुत से लोगों का ख्याल था कि शायद वी हैव टर्न्ड अ कॉर्नर और वो ख्वाब जो था वो शर्मिंदा ताबीर नहीं हो सकता.
यहाँ सबसे पहले मैं आसमा जहांगीर फाउंडेशन, AGHS और पाकिस्तान बार काउंसिल और यूरोपीय यूनियन के दोस्तों का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ कि जिन्होंने इस फंक्शन को کا انعقاد کیا اور اس کو کامیابی سے ان دوستوں کا شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں جنہوں نے اسے کامیابی سے ہمکنار کیا. میں نے بھی اپنے طور پہ کوشش کی تھی جہاں ہمیں ٹاپک دیا گیا تھا اسٹرینتھن آف جوڈیشل سسٹم اور رول اپہولڈنگ لا وہ لا کے حوالے سے. تو میں نے بھی اپنے طور پہ جیسے دوستوں نے آرٹیکل لکھی تھی میں نے بھی 1-2 پیج کا آرٹیکل اپنے طور پہ لکھا تھا. مگر صبح سے میں دیکھ رہا ہوں کہ تمام دوستوں نے آرٹیکل ہی پڑھتے رہے. جو زمینی حقائق ہے ماں سوائے قاضی فائز عیسیٰ صاحب کے جس کا تعلق بھی بلوچستان سے ہے, جس تفصیل سے ذکر کیا میں کسی دوسرے آرٹیکل میں وہ چیزیں میں نے نہیں دیکھی. تو میرے کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ میں وہ بنیادی حقائق یا آسمہ جہانگیر کے حوالے سے جو یہ فنکشن کا انعقاد ہو رہا ہے تو میں کچھ آسمہ جہانگیر سے چونکہ بحیثیت ہماری باجی تھی, ہم 1992 سے ہمارا ہیومن رائٹس سے تعلق تھا اور ہماری وابستگی کے حوالے سے ہم نے اس سے بہت کچھ سیکھا. تو میں نے وہ اپنی انگلش والی آرٹیکل جو میں نے 2 پیج کا آپ لوگوں کے لیے تیار کیا تھا اس کو ایک طرف رکھ کے کچھ زمینی حقائق کے حوالے سے, آسمہ بی بی کے حوالے سے جو ہیومن رائٹس کے حوالے سے ان کے خدمات ہیں, اور پھر جب 2010 میں وہ سپریم کورٹ بار کا پریزیڈنٹ بنا اس حوالے سے اس کے خدمات ہیں, وہ ان کے حوالے سے بات کروں گا. تو سب سے پہلے یہی بات میں آپ دوستوں کے ساتھ کرتا چلوں چونکہ میرا تعلق بھی صوبہ بلوچستان سے ہیں. تو آسمہ جہانگیر میں نے جو بلوچستان کے حوالے سے وومن رائٹس ایشوز کو جس انداز میں اجاگر کیا اور 5 یا 6 رپورٹیں تفصیلی طور پہ انہوں نے بلوچستان کے حوالے سے لکھی. اس میں ہمارے ڈائریکٹر رحمان صاحب اور دوسرے فیکٹ فائنڈنگ مشین پہ نقی صاحب اور دوسرے تمام دوست کافی محنت کی اور بلوچستان کے حوالے سے انہوں نے یہ رپورٹیں ترتیب دی. آسمہ جہانگیر کے لیے مطلب میں اس کے لیے کہتا ہوں کہ مرد آئین, یعنی بہت سے لوگ کہتے ہیں مرد کے لیے یہ بات استعمال ہوتا ہے کہ مرد آئین, مگر میں اس خاتون کو 100 مردوں کے برابر اس سے زیادہ سمجھتا ہوں. چونکہ اس میں جو دلیری تھی یا اس میں جو ہمت تھی یا اس میں وہ جرت تھا, تو میں آج کل معذرت کے ساتھ میرے سیاسی پارٹی کے دوست بھی یہاں بیٹھے ہیں, ان کو ناراض نہیں ہونا چاہیے. یہاں کی سیاست بھی ہمارے سامنے ہے. جب ہماری سیاست ہمارے سامنے ہے تو ظاہر ہے باقی ادارے تو اسی سیاست ہی کے مرہون منت ہیں. دوسری بات یہ ہے کہ 2005 اور 2006 کا واقعہ ہے. آسمہ جہانگیر صاحب جس زمانے میں ڈیرہ بگٹی میں حالات بہت خراب تھے تو آسمہ جہانگیر کو نواب اکبر بگٹی صاحب نے اور خیر بخش مری کے حوالے سے یہ پیغام آیا کہ آپ کھولو کا اور ڈیرہ بگٹی کا دورہ کریں, یہاں وومن رائٹس کے حوالے سے کافی حالات خراب ہیں. آسمہ جہانگیر, افراسیاب خٹک اور آسمہ جہانگیر کی بیٹی مننزا یہ تینوں ملتان سے روانہ ہوئے ڈیرہ بگٹی کے لیے. تو راستے میں ان پہ فائرنگ ہوئی اور میں اپنے 3 آدمیوں کے ساتھ لیڑی کے علاقے سے ہوتا ہوا ڈیرہ بگٹی جا رہا تھا. تو وہاں اس پہ فائرنگ ہوئی تو ان کو نہیں چھوڑا گیا اور اسی طرح ہمیں بھی واپس کیا گیا. مگر دوسرے دن پھر ہم نے تہیہ کیا کہ ہم خواہ ڈیرہ بگٹی جائیں گے اور نواب صاحب سے ملیں گے. تو ان دنوں میں نواب اکبر بگٹی صاحب پہاڑوں میں تھے. 2006 میں پھر یہ رپورٹ ہم نے ترتیب دی اور اسی طرح ہم نے کاہان کے علاقے کا جو دورہ جس انداز میں کیا, میں سمجھتا ہوں کوئی مرد بھی اس انداز میں ان علاقوں پہ نہیں جا سکتا جس طرح بی بی نے ان علاقوں کا دورہ کیا. تو اس حوالے سے ایک چھوٹی سی شعر ہے, بچھڑا کچھ اس ادا سے کہ رتھی بدل گئی, ایک شخص شہر کو ویران کر گیا. تو آج ہمیں محسوس ہوتا ہے, دیکھیں نا, پہلے تو ہمیں یہ دیکھنا چاہیے اپنے ملک کی تاریخ کو دیکھنا چاہیے. 1947 کے بعد جب ہم علیحدہ ہوئے ہیں تو 9 سال تک تو ہمارا آئین ہی نہیں تھا. ایک عبوری آئین کے حوالے سے ہم لوگوں نے ملک چلایا. 58-56 میں جب کوئی آئین بنی تو یہاں پہ وہ سیاسی پارٹیوں کی وہ حیثیت تھی نہیں, نہ وہ سیاسی جس انداز میں انڈیا میں ایک مضبوط پارٹی کانگریس کی شکل میں تھی, ہمارے یہاں سیاسی لوگوں کی وہ حیثیت نہیں تھی. جس کے مضمرات یا جس کے آلات آپ کے سامنے ہیں کہ یہاں وہ طاقتور لوگ، ہمارے یہاں اسٹیبلشمنٹ اور دوسرے ادارے طاقتور تھے، انہوں نے اقتدار پہ قبضہ کر لیا. اقتدار پہ قبضہ کرنے کے بعد جس انداز میں حکومت چلائی انہوں نے، وہ کسی سے ڈکی چھپی نہیں ہے. 73 کے آئین میں پھر کہیں جا کر یہاں پہ حکومت بنی. وومن رائٹس کے حوالے سے باقاعدہ طور پر جب ہم کانسٹیٹیوشن اٹھاتے ہیں تو عام بندے کو یہ خوشی ہوتی ہے کہ آرٹیکل 8 سے لے کر آرٹیکل 28 تک یہ تو سارے فنڈامنٹل رائٹس ہیں، مگر یہ فنڈامنٹل رائٹس آپ کو اسی طرح پلیٹ میں تو رکھ کے نہیں ملتے ہیں نا. روزمرہ زندگی میں جب آپ کہیں بھی یہ واقعات ہوتے ہیں تو آپ ہمارے پنجاب کے دوست جو ہیں، انہوں نے میرے خیال میں بہت سے دوستوں سے میں ملا ہوں، میں اکثر الیکشن میں بھی گھومتا رہا ہوں. ہمارے جو فیڈریشن ہے، جس کو میں فیڈریشن کہتا ہوں، اس میں تمام قوموں نے اپنی آزاد حیثیت ختم کر کے ایک قوم بننے کی طرف آپ سے تعاون کیا اور روانہ ہوئے. مگر افسوس سے کہنا پڑتا ہے کہ جس قوم کے لیے ہم لوگوں نے اپنا تشخص، اپنی شناخت، اپنی ثقافت ختم کی، اس کو آپ لوگوں نے یا ہمارے پنجاب کے خصوصاً دوستوں نے اس انداز میں دیکھا نہیں، جس کا خمیازہ آج آپ بھگت رہے ہیں. ابھی ہمیں بہت خوشی ہوئی ہے کہ ہمارے پنجاب کے بھائیوں نے بھی جدوجہد شروع کی ہے. تو اگر اسی انداز میں ہمارے پنجاب کے بھائی جو ماضی میں ہم 47 سالوں سے سیاست کرتے رہے ہیں، قربانیاں دیتے رہے ہیں، اگر آپ بھی اسی طرح قربانی دیں گے تو میں نہیں سمجھتا ہوں کہ پاکستان میں عدلیہ آزاد نہ ہو، پاکستان کی سیاسی پارٹیاں مضبوط نہ ہوں. تو یہ لیڈروں کی کمی کی وجہ سے ہے. اگر لیڈر بہتر انداز میں پیدا ہوگا کہیں پہ تو ان طاقتور لوگوں کو یا اس اسٹیبلشمنٹ کو مجال ہی نہیں ہوگی. دیکھیں نا، انڈیا میں کبھی آپ نے دیکھا ہے کہ کبھی بھی اقتدار میں فوج نہیں آیا. ہمارے یہاں 72 سالوں میں آپ دیکھیں گے، 72 سالوں میں سے میرے خیال میں 35 سال میں وہ تو براہ راست یہاں انہوں نے حکومت کی. باقی بقایا عرصہ انڈائریکٹ حوالے سے کبھی مسلم لیگ کو حکومت میں لایا تو 2 سال کے بعد اس کو گرا دیا، پھر پیپلز پارٹی کو لایا اور اسی کا بھی وہ انجام ہوا، اور اسی طرح دوسرے پارٹیوں کا بھی ہم نے انجام دیکھتا رہا. سیاسی پارٹیاں جو عوام کی بنیادی مسائل تھے ان کی طرف کبھی انہوں نے نہیں دیکھا. انہوں نے عوام سے تو کہا کہ ہم عوام کے ووٹوں سے منتخب ہو کے آئے ہیں، مگر آج ان کو پتہ چلتا ہے جب یہ الیکشن ہوتا ہے، جس کو حکومت میں حصہ داری نہیں ملتی وہ چیخ پکار شروع کر دیتا ہے کہ الیکشن میں جو ہے دھاندلی ہو گئی، الیکشن میں دھاندلی ہو گئی. یہی پیپلز پارٹی کا حال ہے، یہی مسلم لیگ کا حال ہے، آج یہ مولانا فضل الرحمان کا حال ہے. تو اس کے کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ جو لوگ اب دعویٰ کرتے ہیں کہ ہم عوامی ووٹوں کی تائید سے یہاں پہ پہنچے ہیں، وہ درست نہیں ہیں. یہاں طاقتور لوگ وہی ہے جن کو آپ کے ووٹ اگر نہ بھی دیں تو آپ کو اقتدار میں لا سکتے ہیں اور جب بھی چاہیں گے آپ کی چھٹی کرا سکتے ہیں. ہماری بلوچستان کی حیثیت تو یہ ہے کہ ہم جس صوبے میں ہماری حیثیت ہے، باقی پروونسز میں پھر بھی وہاں کی ایک حکومت بنتی ہے، مگر ہماری بلوچستان کو تو آج تک وہ صوبے کا مقام بھی نہیں ملا ہے. آپ دیکھتے ہیں کہ بلوچستان میں ریاست کلات کے دور سے لے کر آج تک ہم لوگ دیکھتے ہیں وہی چند لوگ ہیں اقتدار میں، کوئی بھی حکومت آئے یہی لوگ حکومت میں بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں. ابھی گزشتہ ہمارے جو قوم پرست پارٹیوں نے سیاست کی، بیچاروں نے 70 سال 35 سال ان کے والدین نے سیاست کی. جو ہمارے پشتونخوا میں لیاوی پارٹی ہے یا میر غوث بخش بھی زنجو کے شکل میں لوگوں نے سیاست کی، تو وہ بیچاروں کو 2.5 سال اقتدار تو مل گیا، مگر جس انداز میں وہ اقتدار ان کو دیا گیا، آج ان ساروں کی نیب کے حوالے سے ساروں کی بیل کنفرم ہوئے بلوچستان ہائی کورٹ سے. اور یہی عالم ہے، اگر اس طرف نظر ڈالتے ہیں تو سیاستدان تو بیچارہ تھوڑے سے عرصے کے لیے جب آتے ہیں، بجائے کہ عوام کے مسائل حل کریں، وہ اپنی سفید پوشی کو برقرار رکھنے کے لیے یہاں وہاں تھوڑے ہاتھ مار جاتے ہیں، جس کا انجام میرے خیال میں ہمارے بلوچستان کے ایک سپوت جاوید صاحب بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں تو میرے خیال میں سارے پاکستان کو اندر کر دے گا. تو اسی طرح بلوچستان میں بھی یہی پوزیشن ہے. ہمارے سیاستدان بہت کمزور پوزیشن میں ہیں. اس ملک پہ اگر آپ لوگوں نے رحم کانا ہے، ہمارے ساتھ مسلم لیگ کے محترم تشریف فرما ہیں، تو اگر آپ نے سیاست کرنی ہے، اگر آپ نے آزاد عدلیہ برقرار رکھنا ہے، اگر آپ کی واقعی یہ خواہش ہے کہ عدلیہ آزاد ہو اور عام لوگوں تک رسائی اس تک ہو جائے لوگوں کا، تو میں سمجھتا ہوں پھر آپ کو کچھ کرنا پڑے گا۔ جہاں تک عدلیہ کا مسئلہ ہے تو عدلیہ کی بھی اگر تاریخ دیکھیں گے، میرے اپنے 20 سال تو ارشاد حسن خان کے زمانے سے ریسٹوریشن آف ڈیموکریسی جب مشرف صاحب آئے تھے تو ہم نے اس کے خلاف بھی موومنٹ چلائی۔ اس کے بعد پھر ہمارے چودھری افتخار صاحب جو اس کا بھی تعلق بلوچستان سے تھا، اس کے دور میں بھی انہوں نے جوان مردی سے کیسوں کا مقابلہ کیا، اور لاپتہ افراد کے حوالے سے میں نے 2011-12 میں ایک پٹیشن وہاں پہ لاپتہ افراد کے حوالے سے داخل کیا، تو سینکڑوں لوگ وہاں سے باقاعدہ طور پہ منظر عام پہ آئیں، اور وہاں پہ اجتماعی قبریں آج تک بن رہی ہیں۔ مگر یہی چودھری افتخار صاحب کے جانے کے بعد میں اپنے طور پہ خود سپریم کورٹ میں پیش ہو رہا تھا، تو تیسرے پیشی میں ہماری وہ پٹیشن ڈسپوز آف کر دیا گیا۔ تو میں خود بھی اپنے طور پہ بھی جب دیکھتا ہوں ماضی کی جوڈیشری کو اور آج کی جوڈیشری کو، ماضی کی جوڈیشری پہ آپ نظر ڈالیں گے کہ ہمارے سیشن جج تک کا پیدل آتے جاتے تھے عدالتوں میں، یہی تھا، اور ان کی تنخواہیں بہت قلیل تھی، نہ ہونے کے برابر تنخواہیں۔ کوئی شخص قابل وکیل جج بنتا نہیں تھا، اس وجہ سے کہ تنخواہوں میں ان کا گزارا نہیں ہوتا تھا۔ آج ماشاءاللہ میں خود جج رہا ہوں، اتنی مراعات جج صاحبان کو ملی ہیں کہ اگر گورنمنٹ جو بھی فیصلہ ان سے کرانا چاہے وہ وہی کرتے ہیں۔ اس کی بنیادی وجہ یہ ہے کہ وہ کہتے ہیں دیکھیں نا، ہم بھی مجبور ہیں، ہم کیا کریں، اگر ہم لوگ اس قسم کے بولڈ فیصلے جیسے قاضی صاحب نے کیا 1-2 فیصلے، تو اگر ہم بھی اسی قسم کے فیصلے کریں گے تو ہم کو تو نکال دیا جائے گا، دوسرے تیار بیٹھے وہی آ جائیں گے۔ یہی پریشانی ہے۔ تو ہمارے جوڈیشری پہ جو ذمہ داری بنتی ہیں، جو مراعات یہ لوگ لیتے ہیں، وہ ان مراعات کی وجہ سے کبھی بھی عوام کے مسائل حل نہیں کریں گے۔ یہ میں آپ کو واضح طور پہ کہنا چاہتا ہوں۔ ایک بات میں آپ کے سامنے بھی رکھتا ہوں، مزید آپ کا ٹائم نہیں لینا چاہتا ہوں۔ اگر ہماری سیاسی پارٹیوں کو اس ملک کو مضبوط کرنا ہے یا اس کی بنیادیں اچھی طرح ہلانا وہ کرنا ہے، مضبوط کرنا ہے اور طاقتور کرنا ہے، تو ہماری سیاسی پارٹیوں کی یہ ذمہ داری بنتی ہے کہ وہ آپس کی چھپ کلش ختم کر دیں، عوام میں اپنی پارٹی کو لے جائیں، اور عوام کے ووٹوں سے ہی کامیاب ہو کر اسمبلی میں آ جائیں۔ تو میں نہیں سمجھتا ہوں کہ ان کو کامیابی نہ ہو، اور اسی طرح آپ کا جوڈیشری بھی آزاد ہوگا۔ ہمارے جو جج صاحبان بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں، وکیل تو بیچارہ ہمیشہ آپ کے ساتھ رہے ہیں، ابھی بھی ہمارے قاضی فیض عیسیٰ صاحب کے کیس میں تمام بار کونسل، بار ایسوسیشن اور سپریم کورٹ، ہائی کورٹ کے باقاعدہ طور پہ آئینی درخواستیں چل رہے ہیں۔ ہم تو اس کو اپنے طور پہ کوشش کریں گے، مگر میں سیاسی پارٹیوں کا جو رویہ دیکھتا ہوں اس میں کافی مایوسی ہے۔ سیاسی پارٹیاں جو ہے اس انداز میں، جس طرح ہمارے وکلا برادری اس جوڈیشری کی جدوجہد میں ان کے ساتھ ہے، تو اسی انداز میں اگر سیاسی پارٹیاں بھی ان کا ساتھ دے تو میں نہیں سمجھتا ہوں کہ یہ رول آف لا یہاں پہ نہ ہو، اور اسی طرح جوڈیشری بھی مضبوط ہوگی اور عام غریب آدمی تک بھی رسائی ہو سکے گی۔ مگر ایک چیز دوسری میں آپ کے خدمت میں عرض کروں، اس سے بھی مجھے تھوڑا سے ہماری جوڈیشری میں یہ ہوتا ہے کہ جو چیف جسٹس بنتا ہے سپریم کورٹ کا، ان کو میں دیکھتا ہوں اپنے طور پہ کہ وہ اپنا وہ عرصہ پورا کرنے کے لیے بہت جلدی کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ میری جان چھوٹ جائے، تاکہ وہ اس قسم کی ایکٹیو حرکتیں کرتے ہیں، جیسے ہمارے ڈیم بنانے والا ثاقب نثار صاحب تھے، وہ 2 سال کو اس انداز میں پورا کر رہے تھے کہ جلدی سے میں ادھر ادھر سے کر دوں تاکہ میرا جان چھوٹ جائے۔ اس نے تو 2 سال کر دیا۔ کوسو صاحب آ گئے، کوسو صاحب نے کیا کیا، صرف فوجداری کیسز کرتے رہے۔ بھائی آپ فوجداری کیسز کریں گے، یہ دیوانی کیسز کون کرے گا؟ دیکھیں نا، میں نے فنش کر دیا، زیرو کر دیا ان کو فوجداری کیسز کو۔ تو بھائی اسی طرح 30 سال سے تو میں بذات خود زمیندار ہوں، 30 سال میں مجھے ہوتا ہے وکالت میں، 30 سال سے میں اپنے ذاتی کیسز چلاتا ہوں۔ تو اسی طرح آپ صرف فوجداری کیسز نہ کریں، آپ کانسٹیٹیوشن پٹیشن کریں، آپ پبلک لیٹیگیشن کے حوالے سے لوگوں کو مسائل دے کے، ان تمام چیزوں کو مد نظر رکھتے ہوئے آپ کام کریں گے تو میں نہیں سمجھتا ہوں کہ اس ملک کی بہتری ہوگی۔ اس ملک کے زمینی حقائق کے حوالے سے آپ سیاست کریں، اپنے کانسٹیٹیوشن میں تبدیلی لائیں، لوگوں کے مسائل دیکھیں تو سارے لوگ آپ کے ساتھ ہوں گے۔ اور آپ بھی اسی طرح، ہمارے وکیل بھائی بھی اسی طرح بلنٹ قسم کے، جیسے آسمہ بی بی تھی نا، وہ کبھی کیس کا چھرت نہیں مارتی تھی۔ جیسا قاضی فیض عیسیٰ نے وہ قصہ سنایا نا کہ انہوں نے کہا تھا کہ ہائی کورٹس کو سو موٹو کے اختیارات نہیں ہیں. تو ان دنوں میں عاصمہ جہانگیر پھر فارغ ہو گئے تو یاسین آزاد صاحب پریزیڈنٹ بن گئے. تو قاضی صاحب نے ایک دو دفعہ نوٹس نکالا تو بی بی کو وہ نوٹس سے تعمیل نہیں ہوئی تھی. تو پھر سر قاضی صاحب نے مجھے کہا کہ عاصمہ بی بی نہیں آ رہی ہے. تو شاہونی صاحب کیا کرتے, میں نے کہا میں آپ ڈیٹ دے دیں, میں عاصمہ بی بی کو کہہ دوں گا, وہ آئے گا اور آپ کو مطمئن کرے گا. تو اس کے بعد قاضی صاحب نے مجھے ڈیٹ دے دیا اور عاصمہ بی بی باقاعدہ طور پہ آیا اور اس کیس کو آرگو کیا. تو کہنے کا مقصد یہ ہے کہ ہم وکیل, ظاہر ہے دوسرے سارے وکیل تو اس طرح جیسا عاصمہ جہانگیر جیسا بلنٹ قسم کے لوگ تو نہیں ہوتے ہیں, وہ اپنے کیسز کے حوالے سے بھی کچھ مجبوریاں بھی ہوتی ہیں, معاشی مسائل بھی ہوتے ہیں. مگر اگر ملک کا سیاسی سسٹم مضبوط ہوگا تو پریشانیاں انشاءاللہ بہت کم ہوگی. انہی گزارشات کے ساتھ میں آپ تمام دوستوں کا شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں.